welcome. So for today's Accelerate session, I want to introduce you to Nathan Cleinwerck. Nathan's got two Vision personal training studios in Sydney. Welcome to the call.
Thanks, Steve. It's awesome to be here to try and answer as many questions, help out as many people as we can.
So good. For anyone that maybe hasn't met you before, tell us a little bit about your background, sort of prior to being like a gym owner. Have you been in the industry for long?
I started in the fitness industry in 2010. Before then, I was at university for a year, playing representative soccer and just working at Macca's with some mates. So, yeah, sort of finished school, finished high school, jumped into uni, was playing rep soccer, got into playing, did my Cert 3, Cert 4, and then applied at different places and felt like Vision Bangor at the time was the best place for me to move forward and offer me a position. And then been there, I was there for 2.5 years, I think just over 2.5 years, and then went to Engadine and been out Engadine ever since. And now I've got our second studio here in Caringbah.
Oh, so good. And when, like in the early days, did you sort of have great ambition to be a gym owner at the time, or was it more just kind of a love of fitness with like the soccer background?
It was definitely the love of fitness with that side of things. I liked training. I liked going to the gym. I've always wanted to own my own business growing up, but didn't really know what that looked like or what that entailed. And yeah, as soon as I got into PT, I just loved the whole process of it, of just training people, helping people get results. Maybe getting some of my first few clients ring that bell when they lost the weight or achieved a milestone or success. I just remember seeing the joy on their face, and just I don't know, that just the transformation in their lifestyle. It was just amazing to see. I never really had that before, besides playing rep soccer and being on the field and winning with your mates and all that sort of thing. It was just great to see helping someone else, with that sort of things.
I love that sort of community feel when you're standing next to a client on the scales. They've had a bit of a win, and you ring the bell, and everyone sort of makes a bit of a hoopla. It's yeah, there's so much kind of hard work done behind the scenes by the trainer and by the member. It's kind of nice where you can publicly share the win a little bit. Yeah, it's good, and so that's kind of inspired you to go into ownership at Engadine. Tell us a little bit about that model. How do you sort of what do you offer like people that want to sign up? It's obviously personal training. What do you charge members to come in? Can they do gym access and stuff like that as well?
Yeah, so definitely, I think each studio is going to be different based off the owner and leader, the area, the demographic, and all that sort of thing. So it all comes down to what the clients are looking to do, how many sessions they want to train, what kind of program they're on, how many times they see a trainer, the length of the program. So it does vary depending on studio to studio. But yeah, like you give it a bit of a rough idea, like clients could be paying, depending on how many sessions they do, could be between $60 to $80 per session,
Yeah.
for example. And it just goes from there depending on the program, the length, and also what the skill of the trainer as well. So obviously we've got PT, we've got senior trainers, we've got master trainers. Obviously that's all done through our performance reviews
Yeah,
as well.
okay.
So
So
yeah,
you'll charge them out at a higher rate. So the client or the member pays a little bit more if they get someone like yourself that's been doing it for a long time versus someone that's new.
yeah, definitely. We've obviously got some high performance trainers in our team and obviously in our network as well. So for them to be recognised and to make it a long-term career, for those that just don't want to do management or ownership, they just want to be an awesome technician. The master trainer position is a great opportunity for them to, really fine tune their craft, and be in the top percentage of personal trainers in the fitness industry.
Yeah, good. I've recently had to move my gym to a smaller sort of floor plan. In doing so, we got rid of gym access, so it's literally just sort of per person by appointment or for the class. What about yourself? What does it look like outside of PT? What are the options if I'm a member there and I want to do a bit more?
Yeah, so we offer quite a bit actually. So clients will get access to the studio to come and do their own training. which will obviously put together their training program when they initially start, and obviously every 9 weeks. They get access to the group training classes. We do in-studio seminars and also shopping tours at the local grocery store. So they do get a fair bit with their training program on top of our own Vision app as well. So there's a fair bit in there that they do get. Programs, like I said, it's setting them up for lifestyle transformation and long-term success.
Yeah, I love it. I over near my in my house, like near DY, I remember seeing a group of Vision staff going through with members through like a Woolworths. It's pretty cool. Like clients standing there asking questions. It look like there's education around food labels and food choice and things like that. That's an area that I see very few gym brands actually get involved in. So it feels quite holistic in comparison.
Yeah, definitely. I think when you look at the grand scheme of things, when someone wants to transform their lifestyle, nutrition is the biggest key with that. So the more we can actually help educate and show people the best ways to shop, not in terms of you can't buy this, can't buy that, but looking into better choices. No, we're just helping them along their journey and helping them many more people.
Yeah, it's so good. Guys, my name's Steve. I'm the host. If you've just logged in today for the first time, I'm a gym owner in Sydney. We're fortunate today to be interviewing Nathan Cleinwerck, that's got 2 Vision personal training studios in Sydney, picking his brain around all things kind of marketing and recruitment and retention. So grab a pen. If you have a question while we go along, there's a little chat feature there, either on Facebook or Zoom. Shine, potentially you can bring it to my attention if I miss one by any chance, but I'd love to make it as interactive as possible. So feel free, guys, to pop your questions as well, so I don't hog all the time with Nathan. While we're sort of waiting for those to come through, Nathan, tell me, like, how many staff have you got at the moment? It's if we use Engadine as an example.
So at Engadine, we currently got 8, including myself.
Okay.
And here at Caringbah, there's 3, excluding me.
Okay. And
Oh, sorry, 4. No, 4. Sorry, excluding myself.
yeah. Okay. And tell me, from your experience, you've obviously had some success in finding good people, and that's the only way you grow past 3 trainers to 4 trainers to 5 trainers, because you retain trainers and they keep sort of staying in the business. But in the past, where have you found to be like good places to actually recruit or go and find someone to come and work in your businesses?
Yeah, like we do a fair bit of the recruitment process. So obviously Seek is always a big one. Obviously having a Seek ad up, there's healthy people, which you can obviously log into their database as well. You've got Indeed. Probably the best one is like going to TAFEs. So we're pretty lucky. We've got Loftus TAFE down the road from us that we can obviously approach and help out if we need to there as well. So we obviously got a few contacts there. But yeah, you obviously got like the fit colleges and AIPT as well that's coming through. If you want to be a mentor to them as well, obviously that just takes time, but you get the great opportunity of obviously fine tuning your skills, but you also have the opportunity of taking someone on at the same time if they fit in terms of your business and what you're looking for. So there's definitely a lot out there. The one thing I found with recruitment is you just got to continuously do it. You can't just switch it on and off.
Yeah.
So you start switching it on and off. Can be very inconsistent where you just have it on continuously and obviously spend a fair bit of your we call it marketing budget on recruiting. You will find those good eggs.
Yeah, that's good. I was in a coaching call with some Gym Hub members yesterday, and we were talking about, starting to be proactive with recruitment, maybe starting to advertise 4 to 6 weeks before you predict that you're actually going to need someone. So you can see a certain trajectory there around growth, and you're going to run out of like staff to fulfill classes or sessions or something like that. So it's to be proactive. Guys, if you've just logged in, those examples that Nathan gave were like for paid websites. They're like Seek, Healthy People, and Indeed. That's where you spend, $300 or $400, and they've got a huge database. So there's people that'll actually put their resumes on there looking for work, but there's also It's a place where you can go as the employer to go through all of those resumes if you want to sort of do a bit of outbound. And that's something we're doing at the moment, Nathan. I've got one of those combined ads, so it's Healthy People and Seek. We've had a few, like I think in the last week, we've had about 10 resumes come in. But what you said was a really good tip where you do the outbound stuff. So you actually can choose resumes of people with the experience and with their location that's close to you, and actually say,
Mm,
hey, I've got a gym. We're looking for an experienced trainer. Would you like to come in? And I think outbound is the bit that often people forget.
mm.
Tell me, Chrissy, I'm not sure if you have TAFE in New Zealand. Do you have like a government sort of, trained system where people can go and do accreditation and stuff? Is that exactly the same in New Zealand? Maybe go into the chat and let me know. But one, guys, remember, is like paid websites. That's Seek, Healthy People, and Indeed. And that's where like a recruitment website. The other one that Nathan gave an example of, like TAFE, New South Wales, or AIF. These are guys that actually provide the courses. So you'd go out to and potentially pick up like a new someone that's just finished their course. Is that the idea of going to someone like TAFE or AIF?
Yeah, definitely. You can go out there to present to the students, depending on what course they're at the time. And you can also offer them to come in to do a bit of a work experience, bit of doing if they need to. So part of the courses, they obviously need to do a certain amount of hours as well. So you can obviously offer that, which we do. So
Yep.
there's a fair bit that you can actually do with TAFE. You can obviously help them out in any part of their courses as well. So yeah, that's a great way of getting in front of people straight away. The other one that we've been using recently has been Facebook ads as well, just putting up recruitment ads on Facebook.
Okay.
You can also target people's interests and all that sort of thing. It goes up like any other ordinary ad, but someone in the public might know someone looking for a position, or someone might be looking to change, or like a change of scenery, and sees it. So yeah, it's just pancake layering. But it's like anything in your business. You always have different layers that you always work. Not just one thing's going to work. You always got to have different levels of it.
Yeah, it's a good idea. If you put those ads on Facebook, you can obviously use other fitness brands as well. Outside of your brand, you might tag Anytime Fitness or Jets or Virgin Active or something, and then a lot of their trainers will actually see that you're, looking for an experienced trainer and stuff as well. That's a good way of keeping it in the fitness
Mm.
industry. If you don't choose interests on Facebook, it obviously goes out to people that maybe aren't, Cert 4 trained or something like that. What if we flip the coin? What if are you okay? Would you share what's a mistake you've made hiring staff before? What's something you've learnt the hard way over the years?
Definitely, I've learned plenty over the years in terms of recruitment. Recruiting the wrong person, being in a rush. So
Yeah,
for whatever reason, something's happened. You have to put someone on. You found that obviously the first available person. Um, the other one's not going through the full recruitment process. So we go step by step through. I involve all my team. So going through that process quickly, not thorough enough. Um, yeah, they're the main ones. Not doing reference checks, background checks. Yeah, there's so many. Like it comes down to how diligent you are in the process. Normally, when you're more diligent and you have it more planned out and you're on top of it more, you'll generally find the better trainers coming through, and you won't get stung. In terms of that sense, if someone looks for short term, or maybe they're
yeah.
not the right fit for your team as well. So
It's interesting. There's so many other areas in life, like sport, where you can potentially perform a certain skill to a higher standard, but if you were forced to do it in a shorter amount of time, like a golf putt or a free throw or something
mm,
like that in basketball, if the amount of time you have to actually do it is shortened and you're under a bit of pressure, that's when we often make errors. And I think the same thing occurs a lot for us. I can definitely think of times where I get a little bit sick of covering hours. So if I'm not proactive with recruitment, I've actually had to dive in. I've taken an extra 10, 20 hours myself. And you get to a point where you're like, oh my goodness, they're not great, this person, but I'm going to give them a start. Yeah, maybe they'll come good. And usually they don't. So yeah, I love that sort of, yeah, potential, potential error or lesson there was, just trying to rushing hiring someone. um, One that sort of comes to mind for us is where they've got availability, but it doesn't necessarily line up with the availability that you need. So you might need someone afternoons and Saturdays to take a session. Their availability is mornings, and then they want to go to university or something at night. And although technically you've both got sort of 30 hours in mind, it's actually really different what they can provide versus what you need. So I think really getting clear on the roles has kind of been a mistake I've made in the past,
Mhm.
and hopefully while we're advertising this month, I'll get a little bit better at it.
Yeah.
What about like the guys that come through and you give the green light to? I know Vision has some pretty good systems for onboarding them, but what do you think are some of those key skills to make sure they're actually pretty competent at in their first kind of 4 to 8 weeks or whatever when they come on board? Do you focus on certain skills?
Yeah, definitely. Well, through the recruitment process, we're generally quizzing, testing them, getting 360-degree feedback from all the trainers. So, we're testing their communication skills. We're testing their exercise knowledge and movement skills as well. We're testing a bit of their goal setting, nutrition as well. So when we get to the point of them jumping into our team, we sort of have like a 360-degree, like I said, feedback ready to go with this new trainer of what we need to work on, what are the areas we need to improve. Floor, jump into our what we call our rookie mentor program. That can go up to 12 weeks. The areas that we can obviously start fine tuning straight. Going through the process and then learning it along the way. We've already hit the ground running. So yeah, obviously the aim is to obviously improve their communication, especially if they're quite younger. I guess in that sense, if they're like early 20s, and especially dealing with the demographics that we generally. So the language might have to change a little bit, or just being wary of the words they're using. And then upskilling themselves with movement analysis, learning nutrition, and goal setting is a big one as well. So I generally find if they're not that big on goal setting or they don't have that many goals for themselves, they generally would try and, I guess, find it a little bit harder setting goals for other people. So goal setting is a big one to try and unearth. Have they set any goals before? Have they overcome any barriers before? What is their own pain threshold goal? Yeah, there's a fair bit that we obviously try to look into for the recruitment process. So we jump on the floor, we're already one step ahead.
Yeah. And look, you've listed off a whole range of areas which I think contribute to a pretty well-rounded trainer. Is it fair to say most of them don't have much idea around nutrition when they start, or are you finding that's actually started to improve recently with the course sort of curriculum?
Uh, no, not necessarily improved. I think depending on the people that come through, there might be one or two people that are a little bit more switched on in that area because they may have had a PT before, or maybe they've gone through their own journey through fitness, so they might have a bit more of an understanding. Where there's others that aren't, they haven't gone through that part before, so learning it on the ropes, well, on the go. So, yeah, look, nutrition can be taught. That's not me, and and that's something we can actually learn. Same as exercise and movement. I think it's more just about their values. And their willingness to learn and grow. That's the big thing that we look into. So, are they willing to learn and grow, continue sharpening the knife, as they progress through the career, or are they just looking for something short term? Because I think if you look in terms of the fitness industry, we do have quite a high turnover. And sometimes, if you look into it, I think the average is like 6 months at the moment, or was 6 months. Like it
Yeah,
takes
it's
you longer.
still
Yeah,
six.
it takes you longer
Which
to do your course at the moment, Cert 3, Cert 4, if you do it through TAFE, than it is for you to actually succeed. So that's when we look at long term long-term careers with our trainers. It's not just short-term. We're trying to plan them out, for the next 2, 5 years, 10 years. What does that look like? Show them a bit more of a path moving forward.
I sometimes look at that list. I'm scribbling it all down. Hopefully you guys following along on Facebook and over Zoom are scribbling down some notes and questions as well. But um, they're they're high standards. Like you want to deliver a good service. You want to actually make sure people get value for money in a boutique gym.
Mm.
Naturally, you have a range of things that you want them to sort of be competent in and excel in. I think an easy thing for potential applicants would be, wow, like that's nuts. I can't be bothered doing all that training. I can't be bothered doing all that sort of learning. But on the flip side, if they don't, it's such a waste of money. Like to spend, I think it was like 7 grand or something to do a Cert 3 and 4 last time I checked. To do all that effort, all that like money, and then only be using that qualification for 6 months and leave. I feel like on the flip side, you're actually giving them a genuine chance at being successful. Do you
Mm.
find well, like how many of them are actually, do you find a lot of them are interested in learning more, or is it sort of uh maybe finding a gem in amongst the rough?
Oh, look, I think a lot of people want things now, right? Like, especially I'm 30, I'm about to turn 32. So I'm getting a lot of people finishing high school in their early 20s that are obviously applying, that have done their courses, for example, because they like training.
Yep.
But yeah, there is the odd one or two that have come through. And I never judge a book by its cover. I sort of go through the whole recruitment process because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. They could be the most knowledgeable in terms of exercise and nutrition, but they might not have that great values. And it might not be a team player. So it might not be suited for my team in that sense, where
Yeah.
I know I'm capable in my own abilities to mentor someone up on nutrition and exercise and goal setting and communication. I'm comfortable with that side of things. So it also comes down to, your comfortability and your mentoring skills, where you're at with your own business and what type of trainer you're looking for, and who you're looking for that's going to fit your team. Like if you have I don't know, I guess like I've moved forward with my team. I had people going to different positions and into obviously different studios now as well. So you fluctuate between having more of a direct team. I've currently got a bit more of a steady team, which is a little bit opposite to what I'm
Interesting.
like.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So yeah, you obviously go for the waves in terms of who comes to your team, and obviously the direct ones that want to move forward, they obviously go into ownership management.
Yeah.
Keep moving. Not saying the S's steady people won't, but yeah, you generally go through waves in terms of the people that you recruit. Sometimes you need a go-getter to come in and push and drive. You have too many of them, it can mean butting heads.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Wow.
it's having an understanding of what your team needs, what you need for your business, and what position you need them for, and where you can actually grow them to. So I'll look at all my trainers going, okay, where can I actually grow them to? Like, can I get them towards senior trainer? Can I grow them to be a master trainer, manager, owner? I don't look
Mm.
at them just as PTs. If that's what they want to do, then that's fine. My aim is always to, hey, I want to push you in this direction. Let's keep going this way that you can learn this, because you may as well learn it all, right? Like if you someone's going to leave, they're going to leave. You may as well teach them everything, and hopefully they progress. If not, they're going to go off and do their own thing anyway. So you may as well teach them to obviously help your team and help fulfill what you need in your business. And the satisfaction when you have other people go off and do their own thing, they're successful. You look back on that and go, yeah, I've actually helped that person do that. So it's quite satisfying.
You made a really valuable point there talking about the type of person you hire and their behavior style might vary based on the role you want them to come in and have, but also the other players that are part of the team. And guys, if you didn't sort of pick up on that, there was a DISC reference, which is DISC. If you Google DISC, it's basically a behavior style questionnaire you can give to your staff. It enables you to understand how to sort of bring the best out of each of your staff, regardless of what type of behavior style they are. It enables you to understand why some staff will clash with other staff in your team and how to kind of manage it. And what Nathan's sort of referring to there is, yeah, sometimes your next hire is aimed at sort of balancing out what you've already got in the team. So he was referring to a sort of steady behavior style, which often, they generally are consistent. They're often stay for a long time inside of your business, like retention wise. I think for myself, Nathan, I really look for someone, generally speaking, that has got that sort of ID behavior style combination, because they're quite bubbly and outgoing. They're also quite direct and don't mind asking for the sale. But to your point, if I had a whole team, if I had 12 direct behavior styles in there, they'd all tell each other to get fucked each day. and and yeah, and you'd get a lot of pushback, if you're trying to roll out a team goal or you're trying to increase standards or something. These are the ones that are quite outspoken. These are the ones that sort of everyone wants to be the team captain, which can't always work. So yeah,
Too many chefs
really
in the
good.
kitchen.
Too many
Yeah, too many.
chefs, yeah. So
Yeah.
guys, if you haven't touched on the disc profile, I encourage you to have a look at it, just so even as from a leadership point of view, you can understand, for our next hire, if we're going through the recruitment process, not only what roles will they be doing, what hours of availability do I need, but what type of behavior style would balance out our team and potentially fill in the gaps that we have at the moment. So good.
Definitely.
Guys, I want to encourage you, if you've just logged in, I would love it if you have questions. My name's Steve. I'm a gym owner. I've got Rush Cutters Health in Sydney, and stoked today to be interviewing Nathan Cleinwerck, that's got 2 personal training studios in Sydney. He mentions he's got 8 PTs at one side. He's got 4 at the other. Nathan, before going in and sort of deciding to grab a second gym, there had to be obviously some level of confidence or stability in Studio One that made you sort of feel like, you know what, I'm ready to go. Tell me, how have you like identified a 2IC or even a manager at Engadine, so that you can do less of that kind of that role yourself?
Yeah, I think it comes down to their own development and their own growth, right? Like in terms of taking initiative is a big one. Also putting the time into the develop themselves. So we obviously got a lot of level up modules we can do through Vision. We obviously got studio management training as well, but obviously besides that, their own development. And just based off their goals and career path, like it's okay if someone has a goal of set they want to be a manager, and as their time gets closer, they decide it's not for them, or ownership due to various reasons in their life. That's fine. There's obviously we can still work towards that, but I think it's just all about training and their time they're willing to put into their own development and time to put into their growth. So the ones that want to progress and move forward will put time into it. They allocate the necessary like learnings. They'll ask for help. They'll ask to sit in. They'll ask for more responsibility. And then all your role is to just fine tune them, keep them accountable, mentor them, and get them comfortable, and I guess let them make mistakes in your business before we jump into the second one. I guess that's probably the
Yeah.
biggest one.
Oh, well, yeah, I think there's no real point having a manager or a 2IC if you end up doing everything yourself. You gotta give them a little bit of room to go in there and break something and take over. Um, is it Jules, your manager at Engadine?
Yeah, so I've got Jules, who's manager at Engadine, and she's also one of my master trainers. And then my business partner at Caringbah is Sean. He
Yep,
was one of my high performing trainers at Engadine. So he was
yep,
doing, before he left, an average of 35 to 38 hours a week of PT, plus obviously admin, group training, etc. So he was one of my high performers. Obviously, he put a lot of time into it, into his own development. And yeah, he's willing to go down that path. Obviously, for him, obviously being a little bit older, is a year younger than me or 2 years younger than me.
yep,
So a little bit older. Obviously, he had a bit more experience, life experience. He also had a bit more financial success behind him as well.
yep,
And when opportunity came knocking, and we're already looking anyway to do one in about a year's time, but when an opportunity came knocking, we just had to do the fine tuning stuff, and off we
Yeah.
went. So I always said I wanted to get myself into a position where there was an opportunity that could arise. It was presented to myself. I'd like to obviously have a look into it and be able to take the chance to do it. And yeah, we've jumped in, and yeah, it's been been riding the wave ever since. So
And obviously, with expansion or growth comes a next set of challenges. So that's stuff that you and I work on often. But it's exciting. You're obviously ready for that challenge, and you've got a skill set there that can sort of support you in doing it. Just going back to Jules, is Jules someone that was at the gym for like the longest? Is she someone that's like a natural, a little bit older, and maybe people looked up to her, or what made you sort of go, you know what, she's probably my manager, going forward.
yeah, definitely. Well, she's been in Vision last year for 10 years. She's been with me
Yeah, wow.
for eight years.
Wow.
Um, yeah, we just had a great connection. I think she wanted to keep progressing and moving forward. So she was previously a client of Vision, and then became, and she was a midwife as well. And she decided she wanted to get into health and fitness to help other people achieve results like she did. Um, and yeah, like she just progressed through. Probably the big thing with Jules is she treats my studio as if it's her own studio. And that's the
Yeah.
biggest thing. I think when you have management, it's all about trust, especially when you have a business partner. Sort of one
Yeah.
thing I love about with doing it with Sean and is Jules, because they're like they're
Invested.
just honest people. Yeah, they're invested. Even when Sean was at Engadine, he treated my business like it was his own as well. He did everything he could. And they're the people that you want to keep close to you around you, right? So obviously everyone has their strengths and weaknesses or work-ons that you need to work on. Jules over the years has progressed and done more and more in the business. And I know that I could probably step out if I was sick or went on a holiday, and she'd be able to run a business for me and look after it like I would be. And same with Sean here at Carrying Bar. So I think just as time goes on, you can see the progression. You see where their capabilities are, what you really need to work on with them in terms of bringing up their weaknesses up to a bit more of a strength.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I think the big one is trust. You've got to be able to have trust.
So is it fair to say your roles kind of evolved a little bit as well? Like you're obviously a PT at some point, pumping out hours. You've gone into a bit more managerial stuff. You've then passed it on to Jules, who takes a
Mm.
fair bit of leadership now for Engadine. Is it fair to say your kind of day-to-day running a couple of studios has changed? And if so, how? How do you kind of use your time differently than maybe you did, 3 years ago?
Yeah, definitely. It's evolving. I don't think I've mastered it yet, to be completely honest with you. It's always
Yeah.
changing. Yeah, I guess like I stopped PT probably in October, November last year. I just found it quite hard juggling doing PT with my clients, managing Engadine and helping Jules, and also trying to help Sean grow that business and do what we need to in there. I just found it, I was just too spread out. I was doing a disservice to my clients. So yeah, the first time ever, I've obviously not doing any PT, which is a little bit different. So I had to try and change my processes, my mindset with things. Um, and yeah, I guess like it's forever changing. I don't think I've mastered it. I'm still doing a little bit in there. I'm still doing some team stuff with the Engadine crew. I'm still doing the one-on-ones down there at the moment before we hand it over. And at Caringbah, I'm not actually doing that much in Caringbah anymore. Sean's pretty much taking the lead on that, which is fantastic.
Mm.
He's doing everything in there. That's growing it. We had 6 months of we take over a established business, obviously taking over someone's systems and processes, clients, relationships. So really trying to work on them. Plus, obviously, let the community know that we're the new owners, and obviously bring some new clientele in or ex clientele back in. So yeah, my role's a little bit different. I was speaking to my franchise manager yesterday and today about some stuff, and going, my role is a little bit different. I haven't really fine tuned it. I haven't really mastered it. I think it's
Yeah.
a forever growing thing in this current position.
And
But
and to be
yeah, like I
honest,
said,
there's not
it's learning.
much in the vision model in terms of training or systems and stuff for multi-site owners. So, you're a bit of one of the what would you say, pioneers in that space. There'll be a bit of sort of trial and error, and I'm sure, that can be sort of passed on when you're ready for Studio 3. I know you've got some pretty ambitious goals over the next couple of years. I like for my own studio, for the first kind of 5 years, my only input was Mondays. I'd get in there at 7, I'd go through till about 2, and then I'd dart off to go and pick up my daughter from school. The things I was really conscious of is trying to have the most amount of impact in the least amount of time. So it wasn't necessarily jumping in a one-on-one because there was only one person I could potentially have impact. So I would look for opportunities like getting to a group class where maybe there was 10 people there and just feel like I got a bit more feedback and I got a little bit more connection. Or I would look to get to the staff meeting at 11:30 on a Monday, or I'd try and spend time with our manager or our senior trainers, where each of them are doing maybe 30 or 40 hours inside of the business. So what was interesting is the end of maybe like 6 or 12 months ago, I thought, you know what, I might try and like dive back in and see if we can smash some big like records in terms of billing and helping more members. What you go in to actually put your time into is what I think is a particular waste of time, or particularly really sort of worthwhile. So what didn't sort of add more value in my experience by going in a second morning each week was again taking more one-on-ones or something like that. But there was a lots of opportunities for networking with other businesses. We've done an NDIS connection, which is an extra revenue stream. We've sort of changed a few things around like standards for onboarding new staff. We've improved systems around communication in staff. And they're probably the last thing I thought you would do if you had a little bit more time you want to invest into a gym, because the tendency is to go, oh, we'll just dive in and sell more
Mm.
programs or something like that. So I share the same feeling that it's something I want to improve on this year, but we can go on that journey together.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's trying to not work in the business on the business. That's the big sense. And obviously trying to fine tune and make sure everything's moving smoothly. I guess when it comes down to that stuff, I'm a bit not a perfectionist in that side of things, but I understand systems work, and I'm not much of a system person. I know it sounds a bit weird, but I know systems work, and if you can fine tune those systems and make sure we're following them 100%, things will progress. So
Yeah.
yeah, just forever learning, forever growing. I don't think we'll ever master it 100% because as you progress to the next level, things will change. You have to add another element in there. So yeah, right now, just fine tuning it.
Yeah, I love that. Let me put you on the spot for a second. I'd be interested to know one area of development that you've sort of thought of for Jules, one area of development for Sean, because they're like your leaders, and lastly, one area of development for you as the owner that's kind of managing these guys. What comes to mind? Because you're thinking about your framework and where you can invest your time into people. What would you say for Jules? What's a particular area in Jules? And I'll give you a hand with this over the next few months.
I reckon for Jules, maybe because she hasn't done too much of the team management side of things, so I reckon it'll be more that side of stuff. She's done a lot of behind the admin side. She does have a bit of an insight to the team management, team leadership.
Love it.
So
what about Sean?
For sure, Sean, his would just be more business sense. So that's one thing that we've already spoken about is sitting down and just more of the business side of things. So the ins and outs of running, the bits and pieces like Xero and all that sort of stuff. So that's the one thing that we also need to work on. Besides that, he's doing a fantastic job. Mine.
What about yours?
Well, I think mine changes every month based off mine changes based off every month what's going on. So currently mine is habits. I'm going through Atomic Habits at the moment. Bit of a habit change. Just working on that, creating new habits, making it a new routine. Like I said, fine tuning the way that I run, and obviously working on that sort of things, and probably go into a bit more of a team management sense as we look to upscale as well. So yeah, there's a few things in there to work on.
So good. For me, I would say leadership team rather than leader. So I've had Sean managing our gym for probably just over 3 years. Particularly good at organizing a team meeting, taking one-on-ones,
Mm,
setting people up on direct debit billings, getting back to members if there's any issues, that type of stuff. But he was quite anxious at the thought of booking in for a month holiday because he had to go back to Wales to see his family after years of not seeing them in COVID. And it wasn't until he booked the holiday and started to go, oh shit, maybe some of the other team could get involved in some of these things. And I always try and use that analogy of like great sporting teams. Very rarely anymore do they just have one leader or one person where everyone looks to them and they have to burden the entire leadership sort of role. Instead, they have like senior
mm,
players. If you look at like in the rugby league, the Melbourne Storm, they used to have that sort of, Bellamy's the coach, that's the owner of a gym and the example of that. You generally then have a captain of a team, which is like a manager in a gym sense. And then there's this leadership team in the Melbourne Storm. They used to have, under sort of Cameron Smith, they used to have like Billy Slater and they used to have a couple of key players. You get your
mm,
leadership team together. They'd be involved in key projects or key development. So that's an area that I've identified that I want to get better at. And part
mm.
of it, I think, is first being really, really clear. Because I reckon you can jump on Instagram this afternoon and spend an hour there, and you'll have 10 things you think you need to work on. In reality, it's just having that single focus around one particular thing and then just repetition and making sure you focus on it until you just see, like measurable
Mm.
progress in Jules and Sean in you. And I'm going to demonstrate that measurable progress
That's
in
cool.
our leadership team. So good. This is really helpful, guys. Again, don't be shy if you have questions along the way of Nathan. Go in there and just post them in the chat for me. We're doing really well. I'm really conscious of your time, so I won't keep you forever. One of the things we haven't touched on is the members side of things. And one of your real strengths, like I would say far better than many gyms I've ever sort of worked with or gyms that I've sort of met, is your member retention. Your ability to sort of get people to stay for not just their like 6 month contract or whatever, but for like 6 years or something like that. What do you think, like, other than having a Christmas party and stuff like most people probably did, a few months ago, what do you think helps you guys to probably do it a bit better than some of the other gyms if they're trying to improve themselves?
Uh, I think our big sense is that we're a big community, especially at Engadine. So I can talk on Engadine sense more than Caringbah because I've only been in Caringbah for 6 months. But at Engadine, one big community, everyone sort of knows everyone. The big thing is probably we do a lot of check-ins with clients. So whether it's when they've done a goal session or just a random check-in. Um, obviously little things like anniversary gifts and recognize their birthdays. Get them involved into like group training, get them coming to some of our events. We do barefoot bowls or our like Mother's Day event, Father's Day event, or any fitness event.
It's
And just have a
good.
bit of banter, have a bit of fun. Try and really learn and actually understand who that client is. Actually understand go for the 6 human needs. Really break all that down. Like we go into the full depth of it, depending how much you want to go into. But our whole aim is to really actually understand who our clients, who they are coming in, what do they actually want to achieve. How can we actually help them and then get them a result? You need to get them a result, number one, and give them value.
Yeah, okay.
I was doing a
And do
podcast. I was
you,
doing
you go?
sorry, yeah, I was going to say I was doing a audio the other day in terms of like getting referrals and all that sort of thing. And I was talking about like if you're not getting referrals, it's either your product isn't good enough or you're not asking. And it said like
Yeah,
with that, price is what you charge, value is what you get. So the difference between those two is goodwill. So
yeah,
it's just understanding that a client comes in and we always use this analogy. So a client will come in and they pay $100 or to say, actually, let's take that back. Let's go. if you knew that you went to the ATM on a Tuesday at 4 p.m. every week, and every week you put $100 in, but you got $400 out, would you go back every Tuesday at 4 p.m.? That's
Yeah.
pretty much what a PT session is, and that's how we used to describe it. Like it's clients are coming in, you're going to give them as much pay, where it's teaching points, helping them their mindset, goal setting. Yeah, like really care. You really, I guess a big thing for us, we generally care about our clients, and we generally want to get them moving forward, and we generally want to have them as success stories.
So if I demonstrate that I care by writing a handwritten card for their birthday, or I send them a text in between workouts or something like that. Anything else that you feel like is like a practical example? How else can someone demonstrate that they really do care?
I think that's just like you said, you call them wow moments if you want. Like to write them a birthday card, handwritten birthday card. Buy them a coffee. All those sort of things are big ones. I think the big one is
Good.
just understanding and asking questions to find out a little bit more about who they are. It's
Yeah.
very easy for people to come in for they want to do training. You find out what their goals are, and you're training them. And um, if you're not open yourself, but trying to find out some information can be sometimes like drawing teeth. So
Yeah.
I think building rapport is a really big one. And then getting them involved in our community. That's a big one, because then they've got multiple touch points, not just with the trainer, but with other trainers, with other clients, obviously with our
Yeah.
services, and make it enjoyable. A lot of people don't like health and fitness. A lot of people don't like training. They look at it as a chore. So, you need to make sure that when you're going through the process, you obviously make sure you can get what they want out of it, make sure they're capable of doing it, but you need to make it, fun and enjoyable. If you make it like a process and this and that, and it's like being in school again, not many people are going to do it. It's like, well, people don't stack the dishwasher. It's just not fun. You know what I mean? So you got to make exercise. You got to make exercise fun for people to come and enjoy, and also you need to make sure their goals are fun along the way. The journey's fun. Celebrate their wins, ring the bell, take a photo, set rewards at the end. Yeah.
So good, man. I'm scribbling down so many things, things that are new and I probably haven't done well enough in my own studio. But also things that I've probably done well for a quarter, and we were doing it really good like 2 years ago, and then oh shit, we just didn't kind of systemize it. We didn't sort of keep it going. So
Mm.
guys, I'm hoping you're scribbling down all these gems. We're obviously streaming this into Facebook, so you might have the opportunity to rewatch it as well. Big takeaways I just got from that. The importance of like a result in that first 30 days.
Mm.
If you sort of compare providing a fitness service to, dating someone, I think I think a lot of their I think a lot of how successful a date is and whether you get a second date with a partner is largely what happens early in that first date, and it's the first 15 or 20 minutes. And how does it feel? Did I get a good vibe? Is there a connection there? And I think getting
Mm.
a result in the first 30 days is where they're making an opinion about that brand. It's where they go, wow, I got great value for money. I really like them. And that's generally the opinion they form right at the start, and they'll keep until you lose that or you change that in their head. The second
Mm.
one, you mentioned earlier when you said the importance, so like what skills do you think about when you onboard them? One of the ones you said was goal setting and the ability to reset goals. And we found this is a little bit of a hole in our business. So our staff were great when someone would come in at day one, and that was essentially the sales chat they were really good at. So the client would come in and they knew exactly what they wanted, and we were great at writing a program for them. So they'd say, I want to lose 5 kilos, turn up my arms, and they go, yep, yep, yep. What we were shit at, it was after we'd actually helped them hit that first goal, was forming another goal. Something
Mm.
might be fitness based or strength based or something like that. So I think that's a huge one. if there was a particular thing you could teach your staff as part of that onboarding that has a massive impact on retention, is do they have the ability to inspire and reset a second or a third goal after you smash whatever it was that they sort of walked through the door on? My third big takeaway is what you were saying around getting them to like a group class and to like the social events. The reason I reckon that's so important is every single one of us that's logged in today has probably had the experience where you've had a great trainer for whatever reason leave, and as a result, a few of your members leave as well. And the thing that I've found that will offset that, where people don't feel as connected and as, you know, that they have to follow that trainer, is because they've met another trainer at a group class, or they've met some great friends at a Christmas party or something like that. So they're like, you know what? A lot of my life is here, even if that trainer moves on. I want to sort of stick on. So they're my big ones. Number one, results in the first 30 days. Two is the ability to set secondary goals after you get their first result. And then number three, the glue is the, you know, the interaction with other trainers and other members, because then you're not so you know, vulnerable when your, you know, favorite trainer falls in love and moves to another state.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
So good, man. You've been really generous with your time. Is it all right if I ask you like just one or two quick questions to finish?
Go for it.
You've found a second gym, and I understand this wasn't one that you've just set up brand new, but you've actually like purchased the gym. What is a potential hardship or challenge you've faced in acquiring a gym that some other person set up? And you know, they've set up their own staff and their own systems and stuff like that. What are some hardships I would consider if I'm about to go and grab my next gym?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's, like you said, the previous owners processes and systems in place that they had. Obviously, there are trainers, there are relationships with clients. So yeah, when coming in, obviously you have to see what they've had lined up. You know, what systems are they using? Are they following the systems that we have here already, or are they just doing their own systems as well? Because each owner, each leader in every business is going to run their businesses differently. So no matter if it's a franchise, they're still going to be run differently based off that leader and who's in the team. So yeah, that was probably the big one, is coming in and obviously undertaking that side of things and really
Yeah,
putting our spin on it. Obviously with the trainers and obviously getting the trust from the clients as well, getting them on board. Yeah,
yeah,
they're
that's
just the main
good.
things. Like they're the main things that you obviously look out for. Like, yeah, it's you know, sort of in some sense, it's like taking over someone else's car, buying a secondhand car. You don't know what that person's done in that business, in that
Yeah,
car, or how many mileage, besides that sort of stuff. But
but it's fair to
they're the
say,
main
like
things.
if you were setting out for your first marathon and you've done, you know, 35K or something like that in training, and you've actually got a very good understanding of what's likely to happen around that
Mm.
30K mark. You're kind of prepared for it. It doesn't rattle you as much. You've actually anticipated that it's going to get tough at the back end of it. I think that's really valuable, just knowing that there's a challenge. You've obviously got to you know, check in, set up your own systems, potentially, you know, move some staff on or recruit some of your own staff and stuff, but knowing that that's a potential challenge if you acquire another business. On the flip side, I imagine there's real benefits as well, where you can acquire an existing place that's already got bathrooms and DA and fit outs already done, and you haven't wasted all the time starting with zero members and stuff as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's the pros and cons, right? When you're looking at taking up a second or third or fourth business, whatever it is, you got to look at the pros and cons. Going, hey, you're taking over existing studio. These are the things that you obviously have to work on, but these are the positives, and vice versa. So yeah, depending on which way you look at it, like it's been a learning curve. You know, so now if I go take over an existing one, I sort of have a better understanding in terms of what could happen. When
Yeah.
I obviously take over and open up a brand new one, which I haven't done yet, obviously that's when I'll obviously learn the ins and outs a little bit more in terms of that sense
Yep.
as well. So it's all a learning curve. It's what you take out of it. It's only if you make a mistake twice, you know, when you do that side of things, that's when it bites you. But yeah, like I'm feeling confident moving forward in terms of where this new studio is going, the trajectory that we're on, which is fantastic. We're doing well. And the best thing about that is mentoring a good friend and obviously my business partner Sean to progress and obviously do more. With the opportunity to do a second one in the future.
It's so good. I'm, really proud of you, buddy. Your improvements in the first site from sort of doing most of it yourself as the leader and the owner to like developing Jules so that you could kind of step away and look at, your second venture's been amazing. It's obviously going to be some challenges as you sort of get the second one moving and finding that sort of right balance with your own time, but you're up for the challenge and I look forward to helping you with it. And I encourage you, don't forget with Gym Hub that you can plug in your team. So if you feel like Jules or Sean would benefit by getting around other managers, sharing some of their challenges, asking for ways that they've sort of potentially inspired a trainer that's maybe not at their best or something like that. Don't be scared to sort of reach out because some very competent and experienced managers and stuff inside of the network as well.
Definitely.
So good. Nathan, you've been fantastic today, mate. Thank you so much. I've scribbled down some notes and guys, if you're interested, I will do my little summary notes as a bit of a cheat sheet. If you're watching this on Facebook and you're interested in grabbing interested in grabbing those summary notes, just leave a comment in the thread below and I'll make sure to get a copy to you. But Nathan, you've made a great start to 2024. Thanks for sort of sharing a little bit of insight and where you're at, and good luck this year, mate. Head down and bum up.
Perfect. No worries. Thanks, Steve.
You're a champion. Thanks so much. Thanks, guys. I hope you found that
Thanks.
useful.